My name is Matt. I'm going to be running today's webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about Home Depot and Buildxact. We're going to be talking about the connection that you can link your Pro Extra account to Buildxact and the benefits of that. And we're also going to be talking a little bit about some of our new blue features as well. So we're going to cover off the new national catalog here from Home Depot, what that means, what it looks like, and some of the little issues that occur in and around it, and how we deal with that within Buildxact. We're going to go through the procurement process of getting your materials from Buildxact into the Pro Extra account and the two methods that they include. We're also going to be utilizing 3 of today's blue features today from Buildxact. These were released about almost 2 months ago now, and in most cases require a Home Depot connection to utilize. And lastly, we're going to be going through some of the preferred pricing from the Home Depot and an exclusive discount across selected items as well. If you haven't been to one of our webinars before, there is a little Q&A button down the bottom that you can click and can ask any of your questions there. I'll be looking at it throughout the entirety of today's session and be answering them either as I go or waiting until the end. It will depend a little bit about just how I'm going with my descriptions, phases, and how the AI gives us a little bit of time. There will be some buffering moments with the AI, so we'll have some time there for Q&A. But without further ado, let's get into what the new Home Depot National Catalog kind of looks like. So let's talk about what it was. Previously, it was a series of 19 different, I guess you could refer to them as regional catalogs. They weren't specific to any one particular store or a governance of stores. And what that meant was that we had to have a list of items that were related across those stores that were within that region. And that gave us limitations. One of the most common bits of feedback is that we're missing items. So with partnership with Home Depot, we started developing a national price file or a national catalog. What they did was increase the total amount of items from just short of about 40K to just short, and I really do mean just short, of 130,000. We were like 201 or 202 items short of that big, nice round number. We almost tripled the amount of items. What this means is you'll have greater selection of products. You'll still have a lot of different variances of what you can and can't do within Buildxact when using that catalog, but it's still not as robust as using the THD website. It probably never will be because it's got the most up-to-date and live data, but we're working on that transition to be as smooth as possible. One of the ways we do this is live pricing. Live pricing really matters in our system. It gives you the ability to have the most up-to-date estimate or quote with your Home Depot items in there, so you can represent to yourself the costs of moving forward with the job as well as to the customer. But as I alluded to earlier, you're going to need to have a connection to Home Depot. How do you do that? Well, if you go along to your supplier integrations in the integrations tab on the left-hand side of your screen, you will see 2 different versions of Home Depot. One is going to be just your everyday connection, which includes your national price file, and the other one is your Pro Extra account. If you click on the connection button there, you'll be met with this little side drawer. This side drawer allows you to put in all of your details and connect your Pro Extra ID. Now, if you don't have one, you can go along to the Home Depot's website and sign up from there. From my understanding, it's quite a very simple process. And once it's all connected, our system talks to the Home Depot system and allows you to get connected faster than ever before. All we make sure is that you fill in your ID. It's the only mandatory field, and it's the most important field. If there is a typo on this, a human will take a little bit of time to review it, make sure all the other details are correct. So please double check that before you proceed. Once we get into this side of it, we'll start here. We're going to start with the blue features. We're going to touch on 3 of them today. We'll be looking at the estimate generator, the assembly assistant, and the estimate reviewer. Depending on your subscription level and whether or not you've added add-ons to your subscription or not, will depend on whether or not you have any of these. If you're on the master tier, you'll have all of these. If you're on the pro tier, you'll have the estimate generator and the assembly assistant, with the estimate reviewer being an additional add-on that you can purchase. At the foundation level, you have access to the assembly assistant, and both the estimate reviewer and the estimate generator are additional add-ons you can purchase. If you wish to purchase any of these add-ons through Buildxact, you can go to the integrations tab. Just below the supplier integrations, there is a section for Buildxact add-ons. You click that and follow the prompts. So we're going to use some of these features to help develop a quote today. We're then going to have most of our items connected automatically to the Home Depot's national price file. And some of these are going to have up-to-date pricing. Some of them are going to have the national catalog's current pricing as a generic, and some of them are going to come up at 0 cost. All of these are deliberate actions. And we'll go into that a little bit later on when we get to that point. But for now, I want to point out the other part, where if you connect all this up and actually push this through, you can save, on average, 8% on selected items. And this is a Buildxact THD exclusive deal. So let's jump into our estimates today. We're going over here to our estimates section, and we're going to create a new estimate. You'll see here a little blue icon, which indicates a blue feature. We're going to be using the estimate generator, which currently allows us to do either a bathroom remodeling or kitchen remodel. Other templates will come soon to this area, and we have an availability of feedback here, so we can hear what you would like to be worked on and what you want us to develop. We really appreciate this feedback, and we do look at it at every meeting regarding this feature, and it is talked about. So how do we use this tool? Well, we select which one of the 2 models we want to do. I'm going to select the bathroom today. We have an automatic prompt that pops up down the bottom that allows for adjustment and basically helps you get to an idea and understanding of how much information the blue feature requires. So we're just going to leave this in as the default prompt. And nextly, we're going to select location. And if you forgive my typing a little bit, I'm going to select a nice little town in Texas in the United States. And then you just click the blue estimate generator here, and it will go through its process of analyzing, calculating, and building your template, your estimate, and away you go. As you can see, it's going through each of the categories based off this, and we'll build out the estimate based on these. It takes a little bit of time, so we do have a little bit of open area here if you guys have got any questions today. But generally speaking, this is one of the most expansive AIs that we've pulled through with the blue features. It goes into great amount of detail and depth, which you'll be able to see on the other side. And one of the reasons it's taking so long is that it's actually scouring through so much data that we've put through into the system, as well as going through the THD's national catalog and selecting, hopefully, the correct products. Now, we've gone along and put a little couple of doozies in the way, so that way we have a couple of things that we can talk about and find problems and errors and whatnot. It is AI. It will make mistakes. Even if you look at ChatGPT's stuff, they ask you to refer back to all the output and actually review it all, as AI does make mistakes. And there we go. In less than 2 minutes, we have an estimate. So you'll find at the top here, it's got our synopsis of what we've typed in. It takes it, breaks it down just a little bit and gives it back to you so you can see where anything may or may not have been changed. And you can see that's put it through its 6 different categories. Put through the demo, the waste, the plumbing, the shower and the bath installation, wall and floor install, electrical work, and your vanities and storage. When we click on each of these items, you'll see some of these items just don't have values. And that's because there's no representation for demolition plans or anything like that, because they can all depend on different architects and whatnot. There's no national catalog for anything like this. This is going to be something that you're going to have to look at yourself. Now, we do have a solution in place for you, and I will touch on that, and I'll come back to it in a little bit. It's called the Estimate Reviewer, and as I said, we'll get there. It'll be the last thing we do before we go to procure. I want to draw your attention here to the blue Assembly Assistant here. It exists in each and every category. It will go and build out single items all the way up through to a detailed assembly based on user prompts. Much like the the estimate generator, this is just a smaller version. As you can see, the estimating generator has pulled through THD items, put through the quantities, pulled through dollar values with links back to the catalog. You'll also note is this nice handy little exclamation point just here on wall and flooring installs. This is an alarm. They're saying something is wrong. And what it's saying is that some of your items, if we click into it, you can see individually they've got exclamation points, that each of these have something going on. Now, they're popping up with a $0 value. In some of these cases, these are quite common, that they're going to pop up with a $0 amount. Why, you ask? Well, we're talking about timber here. The price of timber varies from region to region, from supplier to supplier, from store to store. And because of that, there was no way to put a generic price within the catalog at the national level. So they opted for a $0 item and the error message to prompt what we refer to as latest pricings. And you'll see that in the bottom left-hand corner. It's as easy as clicking a button. Now, I, like you, will probably want to click this button straight away. I want my up-to-date pricing. But what we're meant to do is select a store. Now, I'll show you how you're meant to do it, and then we'll follow it through in case you forget. So under Estimate Details, under Works Location, if you scroll down just a little bit, you see Supplier Location. Now, it says right there, I'm connected to Home Depot Pro, but I haven't set a store. And the reason we do it here at the estimate level is because you could be working in multiple different areas and thus be visiting different Home Depot stores. So you want to select the store that is going to be your main point of procurement and purchasing for the specific job that we're talking about. So what it will do is select the store and it will bring up the list here. Now, I'm not actually going to select the store. We're going to click off it and we're going to do the other process in case we forgot to do that. So we transfer back to estimate costings, go down to the bottom left, and in our query, we click on get latest pricing. Well, we're met with this little pop-up. We click that and it brings up that same side drawer that we saw on the estimate details. And what it's doing is it's pulling across that data from our work location to here. Now, this is the data that I put in at the estimate generator level too. Because it didn't give a specific address and gave a suburb instead, I'm met with the closest things to the suburb. I'm going to select this store, paying attention to that number just there. And now it's going to go through the process of getting the latest pricing. This screen is very handy. You can see on this everything that is going to change in price. You have the total amount in the bottom left. I'm going to save myself $53.07. The reasoning it's so low is because you can see here some of these $0 items, like the timber, has now come up with a dollar value. Other cases like this sliding shower, I've saved a fair bit of money. It's over $100 worth of savings. So it's quite handy to do this. Now, you're possibly sitting there going, well, what if I don't want to use the cheaper prices and I want to put that towards my margin later and use the higher prices? Well, this nice little toggle allows you to do so. You can see that the little icon there changes from a green to a gray, and it's all linked off. It won't update the price as the price has gone gray, and my savings have now changed to a loss. It's going to increase the price in this case, and that's why it's red. All right, so we're going to do that, and I'm going to hit update. First and foremost, we'll go over here and look at our shower. You can see that it's still gray here, and we can still see our original price just there. But oh no, we've still got an exclamation point. This was something that I alluded to earlier. No matter the size of a national price file, you're always going to have small little issues, and this is one of them. Unfortunately, this moisture resistant drywall isn't finding the right product. So what we can do is we can take the item code here, which represents the internet code on the Home Depot website, or alternatively, you can take the entire description, head over to the Home Depot, copy and paste, and we'll go searching for it. So effectively, we're looking for a 1/2 inch by 4 foot by 8 foot drywall in mold and moisture resistant. We've got one right here. That's kind of handy. Also got another one over here from USG. And so what we'll look at is the fact that, oh, this one's got stock, but this one doesn't. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select the one that doesn't, just to show you what that $0 item might also mean. So if I bring this across, we'll click on it and go into it. And I'll pull it back over to our Buildxact quote, clicking on the item itself, replacing it. It brings up the THD's national catalog inside of Home Depot, where you can look at all the items. Oh, there we go. We've got the right item here, but in a 10-foot sheet size. Okay, that's not so bad. We're going to select that. Nice and easy. See here, it hasn't got that little green icon. Still $0 too, because that's what it was set when we brought it across from the pricing assistant. Hit save. The get latest prices lost its green status. We can go along and do that again. We can see that that bathroom's come across, and now we can see that we're going to get our drywall in. That's nice and handy. Pricing problem solved. Now, sometimes when it's out of stock at the local store, that will still retain its $0 item. And that is basically to stop you from moving forward so that you don't try and procure something that would be out of stock. Now, when we did look at the Sagan store, we could have gone back and selected the other item that was in stock. We went back here, went back a sheet, went back a page. Could have selected the Tough Rock version. It has stock. Here it is. No, sorry, it's moved. There it is. And we could have gone and done that. No dramas. We've gotten a little bit lucky that it's actually found the price, and we could probably put it through to procurement. Now, when we go to put it through to our Pro Extra account, it will probably pop up with another error at that stage. So we're going to carry on with that. as a issue. And we'll try and switch it out a little bit later. So let's have a look at the next AI, the assembly assistant. By giving that a click, it brings up this little box on a new line in the category that you clicked it on. Now we're in wall and flooring installs. I'm just going to go ahead and select one of these. Just going to do some hardwood flooring today. I could do a takeoff if I had a set of plans. But because I've started from the estimate generator, which is based off the concept of not having plans, but having a site visit with a description from a prompt, I can't really do a takeoff. Also, I could use a calculator if I so chose, and could sit there and be putting in the floor area and so forth. And I could say that it is, one dimension times the other dimension and get my answer. But I know from, earlier, it was 100. So it's 100 square feet. Put that through. The prompt pops up here. You can type whatever you want in here as well. And we might say, sanding belt and well, finish. There's the ability to type throughout here. That was the main takeaway from that. We click generate, and it's going to go through very similar steps to the estimate generator. It's going to go through, identify what the prompt has, going to identify what the Home Depot's national catalog has, calculate the quantities based on the amount of square feet, and come out with items. Now, we still have that same problem where we have an item here that either is out of stock or needs to have an updated price. And all we have to do is click the Get Latest Pricing again. Nice and simple. I'm going to add these items just so we got a little bit extra here. Click the Get Latest Pricing. Oh, there's that problem. We found one. And that just means that that product is no good. And we're going to go and have to find a replacement for it on the Home Depot website. No problems. More than likely, the store we're purchasing at doesn't have that item. They've probably got a different item from a different supplier, or they're just out of stock. But for today, just for the ease of it, I'm just going to remove it. Now, I could go through the effort of actually going through and finding a different replacement, etc., putting it all in, adding it in, going through my catalogs, clicking on this section, going through the Home Depot national thing, typing in belt underlay. Oh, no good there. Should have tested this one. Nope, and that's why I can't find it. It's not listed on that. Okay, we'll leave that off for now. Don't want to cause too many problems. All right, so that's the assembly assistant. This is the one that's available on every subscription level. It's really good for also building out actual assemblies and not just putting them in as single line items. You would have seen when I had it there, it had add or add as assembly. Now, the last of the blue features I want to talk about today is the estimate reviewer. Living on the side drawer along with the assemblies and catalogs and pricing assistant is the blue estimate reviewer. Now, what does it do? Think of it as a second set of eyes. Think of it as sending it off to someone who has done estimating, QSing, building, and is going to give you some general advice at a glance over what you've done. So we're going to go through and we're going to say it's a bathroom remodel. We just need to give it some basic level information here because it just wants to know a little bit about what's going on. We've got any environmental things here? Well, don't really have any of these things, but we might put in some high humidity. And we'll go ahead and just give it a little bit more data here. And I can see that the questions come through. And while that's doing its suggestions and popping up on the side panel where you guys can see it, I'll just answer the question. Yes, this session is being recorded. It will be available later online, along with all of our other webinars as well. Okay, so the AI reviewer, the Blue Estimate reviewer, has come through with suggestions, 12 of them, in fact. And basically, you've got a little drop-down box here to give you a little bit more information about what is going on. A little circle up here to indicate that you've done the work based off this or you've dismissed this. So you can see here that we're going, yep, bathroom exhaust fan or dehumidifier to prevent mold and moisture damage. All right, that's actually a really good piece of advice. Let's pop into our electrical. We're going to use the Blue Assembly system to find us this. So we go exhaust fan. And we're just going to go one, and I'm going to go each. And we're going to go and find those items. Now, I could go and use the pricing assistant or the catalog and actually go and find the individual items. The reason I'm using the assembly assistant is because potentially the AI will also put other items that surround that concept of the exhaust fan in along with it, saving me additional time for going and searching multiple items or knowing that I need multiple items. You know, sometimes it will just give you the exact item you ask for, and that's great too. In this case, it's come along with quite a lot of items. We've got a ceiling mounted exhaust fan. We've got some ducting, which actually we're going to need. We're going to need to be able to connect our exhaust fan to the outside of the house to push all that water vapor outside the house. We've got a wall connector, which we're probably going to need. We're going to need that louver cap that's going to go out in the eaves outside. You know, we're probably going to need most of these items. And you've also got an upgrade kit here too. You know what? I'm just going to add these all as an assembly right now and put that in. And you can see that it pops up there. You can see that all the notes that went along it are stored internally. And I'm just going to type this over as exhaust fan. And hit save and close. You can see that it's there. I'm going to update my live pricing because I've added new items since last I did it. Hit my update. That's all done. And we're good to carry on. We're going to go back to the AI estimate reviewer made by Blue, and we're going to complete that. We're going to verify the hours for labor. I know they're fine. I'm not going to worry about that too much. Local codes and compliances, we should be fine. Demo permits. Now, we talked about that much earlier on at the start. We did forget that. We do need to put in some dollar values here. I'm just going to throw a random dollar item in each of these. Not that I know the exact amounts, and because they're so variable across the entire continental US, I'm just throwing in some numbers today. We can go back here. We can tick those off as done. We can go along and we can do all these bits. You can see that it's missed any contingency due to unforeseen issues. Or if I go down to my markup, this is one of the ways to do our contingency. And I've even forgotten markup. So this is a really good prompt for me. And we'll just put in 15% here. And you can sort of see what the estimate review is doing. It's stopping me from just going ahead, plowing forward, making this job live and ordering. I would have forgotten all my markup. I would have forgotten all my contingencies. I potentially would have cost myself $3,000. And that's what it's doing. It's slowing you down and getting results. There we go. Include waterproofing for high humidity, verify the plumbing fixture quantities, proper ventilation. Well, we did do that, so we're good. You don't need to check all these off to carry on. There's nothing that's going to stop you from just going, yep, we're good, I'm carrying on. Like in most jobs going forward, you'd prepare a quote. In terms of getting these items over to the Pro Extra, this is the first of two ways of doing this. Once you hit prepare quote, you meet with this little greeting. It's telling you how many items that will be added over to the Home Depot. You want to sync these to your Pro Extra account. Doing so will unlock an exclusive discount. As I said earlier, it's an average of 8% on eligible items. Some of these will be less than 8%, some of them will be more. It's really dependent upon that. I don't have a list of what is going to actually have percentages of discounts on it, but you'll be able to see your overall discount on the Pro Extra side. And I'll point that out once we're there. For now, I'm not going to sync it here because I only have one chance to really sync it. And I want to do that after I've won the job, just so I can show you both ways. So I'm going to skip and prepare quote for today. But if you wanted it in there, easily just click that green button and it will be done. So it's going to bring up my quote. We then send the quote off to the people that are involved with this remodel. Send them our beautiful little quote here. I'm just going to close out of it for now. And when they convert, tell us that when they tell us that we are all good and we've won the job, we'll convert it into a job. For today, I'm going to remove retention. I'm not going to worry about invoicing too much, but I'm just going to do a fixed price contract. Nice and simple. We create the job, and on this side, the job side, is where we find the other way to push this across to the Pro Extra in actual costings. Now, before you sit there and say, where's the button? One of the biggest things here is actually converting the estimate to accepted. So at this stage, because it's not accepted, the client's told us, yes, it's accepted, but we've not actually set the status, meaning we can still do all our normal purchase orders, go through the normal motions and do it that way, but we're missing our sync to Pro Extra. That only comes about once you hit accepted. So if you watch this section here, when I hit accepted, there it is. By clicking this, it will take all those items, tell you the store, tell us when we learn our last live pricing on the day, and a little bit of information about how pricing is subject to change. Okay, so we're going to send that quote over to our Pro Extra account, and that is going to be there. You'll see here we get met with two little tabs. One of them says that it's been created, and there was the quote, and the other one, which I didn't hover on for long enough, said that 40 of 42 items did not make it across. So let's go have a look. We pop over to our Home Depot. We pop into quotes. Boom, of course. Just give that a moment, please. Of course, it logs me out at that exact time, even though I've been using it. Just waiting on a code to be able to log it back in. All right. While that loads back in, there we go. And you can see here that this is the quote that's come through. 24th is today. We can click on that and we can have a look at our quote. And you'll see over here, we've got a dollar value in savings. And that is from your connection, having that section there. And you can see all the little bits and pieces about each individual item that was selected, including its express delivery status. Okay. So that's pretty much everything in a nutshell regarding what is actually going on with that entire process. It's nice and simple in a lot of areas. It's really handy for you to progress through, especially using all the blue features. in the way that you can do it. You can sort of see how easy it was to take an entire quote from just a concept all the way to approved in a matter of like, that was less than an hour. We hope that this actually brings around a lot of, growth in your business. And if you have any questions, now would be the time. So I'll give you guys a few minutes just to ask any questions or anything like that. Otherwise, thank you so much for coming along today, sitting through this. I know it's a bit later than standard, so I really appreciate your patience on that. All right, go to question here. When do you plan to have the whole house residential templates, or is there any plan? I can talk about that a little bit. I can't go into great detail on it. I'll just unshare my screen when I'm doing this. All right. There is a plan, absolutely. We are working on it diligently at the moment. We are going through the other templates at the same time. All these things take processes. They're, the AI is scaled and trained on thousands of different architectural plans for not only the US, but also for Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, as well as the rest of the world. Unfortunately, these things take time. A firm date I don't have, but please keep an eye on that area. And as I said earlier, there's that feedback section. Please tell us what you would want in that area. And if you keep clamoring for a specific type, like a new build, we're likely to start pushing that one ahead first. Okay. But the second one, can you let us know one more time what pricing levels gets the AI features? I was on board when you implemented AI and have access to that temporarily. Oh, no worries. So on Foundation, you get access to the assembly assistant, and that is the only one you get access to as part of your subscription. The other three, which is the takeoff assistant, the estimate generator, and the estimate reviewer, are all additional add-ons that are paid. At the pro level, you get the assembly assistant and the estimate generator included in your subscription. And the other two, the takeoff assistant and also the estimate reviewer, are paid add-ons. At the master level, all of those AI features are included in your plan. And the next question is, what is the timeline for sharing of those templates? Approximate end of this year, 2 years, etc. While I don't have a firm date, we are talking about end of August as a potential release date. For how much, for what, I cannot say, but that is a scale that we're talking about at the moment internally. And it's about as much information as I can part with. I'm sorry. Got another question from you. Will there be a possibility to trial the whole house templates? I'm in Pro. Well, if you're on Pro, you'll have access to the estimate generator. When it goes live, you'll just be able to start using it immediately. I don't believe we're doing any trial phases for any particular subscriptions or any individual customers, but I could be very wrong in that regard. I'm just not a part of that team that would make that decision. If there is something like that, I highly recommend when you put in your feedback to the estimate generator, you ask to be put on the trial subscriptions to test it. We love testers. It's really helpful. All right. Any other questions for today? All right. Got another question in. So the takeoff assistant estimate review are already working, and so we'll work on any new templates. The estimate reviewer will work on anything that you put in. As long as you give it enough direction, it will work. In terms of the takeoff assistant, it does just pausing to let myself remember because I deal with metric every day, all day. It does square feet and linear feet for each individual room on a like a ground floor plan or a top floor plan, etc., like that. So on your bird's eye architectural plans, it's pulling up each individual room square feet and the perimeter of that room's in linear feet. In terms of what's coming on with that, more development's done. It's probably one of the hardest models to train as it requires someone to actually go through and draw on every single one of our plans. And we have something like 5,000 plans that get tested on this. So it takes some serious time, unfortunately. But again, I believe that also has the ability to leave feedback. We strongly suggest that if you want a specific type of takeoff measurement done automated, tell us which one. Okay. But it also has a scaling assistant built into it that will name, scale, and fix up all your plans in that regard. And you can override it and everything like that. No worries. We'll leave this open for a few more minutes to answer any more questions, and then we'll start wrapping up for the day. Yes. Sorry, I'll repeat the question. The takeoff assistant does basic items. It doesn't do like exterior trim, for example. It's not going to go through and look at the trim of a window and measure that window and say, you need this much trim and do all the bits and pieces. What we'll do when it gets to that is look at the window and calculate the perimeter of the window, probably calculate the sill and the header and the sides for your trim, and probably just put that as a measurement. You might get to the point one day where it will do based on the cladding, but we're talking about things that will possibly happen in a year's time. I'm speculating here. And it is that bit where I am guessing what will come rather than knowing what will come, because we are talking about development in, over the next course of years. All right. That's probably about as much as I can give on that. No, you're very welcome. I don't mind giving as much truthful answers as I can. Obviously, I am limited with what I do know, as I don't work in some of these teams. I'm not a developer, and we can try and give you guys as much honesty as possible. No worries. All right. I'll just give a tiny bit more time for any questions, and then we'll start to wrap up for the day. I know it's really late over in the US, especially on the Eastern Coast. So I don't want to hold you guys away from families and other commitments. All right. I think that about covers it for today. Thank you so much for your time, everybody. I wish you all the very best and have a lovely evening. Thanks for coming along.